I'm that girl who knows that the emotions and feelings that we attach and understand as being impatient is just a small little smidgen of being lower than joy and excitement. And this is what we need to kind of see if we can feel into this impatientness, explore it. Why are we impatient? For those of us who know about the new earth and the shift, we are impatient because we know how profound the new earth experience is for all. And so we are super, super, super impatient, right? Because what we're really impatient for is the excitement, is the wonderment, is the evolution, is the amazement, is the releasing of all the density that no longer serves us and all that sort of stuff. So, it's fascinating to be able to understand our emotions really well and to be able to figure out what's going on for us. We know that we were impatient on Christmas Eve, for example, for those who celebrated that holiday, because we knew that there was going to be gifts, right? And this is why I feel like sometimes, many times actually in sessions, they've referred to the shift as like being the Christmas Eve for children, and that the Christmas Day is opening up a lot of gifts. And so we understand that what they're referencing with opening up all our gifts, it's more like for some of us who are here to be of service, who are much more advanced beings, who are naturally going to simply slip into a more higher frequency of crystalline body, they're going to be able to remember who they are very easily, because they're not going to be so sort of disorientated and confused and blah when all the events are happening and when their shift takes place. So there's so much to share with you, because all of this experiences to come, we've explored and unpacked, very vastly in many, many, many sessions. And it dawned on me that I should start doing a small series. I always felt like 10 was going to be an appropriate number. Don't ask me why. But it felt like, we've done hundreds of sessions that are public that hear different people shifting and what that sounds like and what they're going through now. And we've asked so many different questions about this, right? We have explored so much in those sessions. And we know from sessions that the subconsciouses also tell us that even though people have listened to all the sessions, they're still not able to fully process and comprehend all the information, right? For whatever various reasons. And so I got very inspired to do a series asking clients around the world, actually most of them are professional practitioners. And so it was fun to be able to catch up with them and be able to ask them, look, I'm doing something that I feel really inspired to do. Would you be part of this? And what I said to them is, I'm going to do a series. Would you like to be involved? And I was so passionate about it. I sort of just, I just knew that I didn't need to mansplain why for these people, right? Guys, I need your help. I'm going to do a series. I'd like you to be a part of it. How do you feel about that? And instead of them like, well, what are you going to ask me? Blah, 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 blah. They just jumped in. Absolutely. Yes, I want to be of service, Joe. Thank you. I would love to be able to do this. And that was fantastic because they were not sort of like doubting it, a little bit scared. I mean, it's normal to be scared, right? Oh God, what is she going to ask me? That one time I shoplifted, not sort of interested in that, right? And you know me, I'm not interested in the small details of life. I sort of find it very, all necessary, all purposeful, blah, 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 blah. But what I'm still seeing out there is people still scared of the truth. And we can't stop what's coming, right? We've asked, you can ask, interns are free. And so when you have to be prepared for something emotionally, it's going to be a big roller coaster. It's going to potentially look quite chaotic, very chaotic, right? When I was preparing myself for this conversation today with you, they wanted me to remind you of, for those mothers who get this, and for men, you can understand it, and for people who haven't had children, you can still understand this, right? you're having that baby, you're super uncomfortable, you're just, you're barely functioning as you're trying to prepare yourself for the birth, right? And so all you want is your baby, your baby, your baby. And so you sleep and you try to, especially for your first babies, right? So you've got no other children, and hopefully you can take the time to have some maternity leave before the baby. And all you want is that baby, 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 And then you have the baby, and then you have a lot more sleepless nights, and you sort of think, remember when it was a lot easier? I mean, yeah, it was hard because I didn't have my baby, and all I was yearning for was to physically hold my baby. And now I've got my baby, and it's fantastic. But I am just, I probably would have done a few different things while I was preparing for the baby, right? Stop focusing on the baby. The baby's going to come regardless of whether you're impatient or not, right? The excitement of having the baby will always be there, and you always get that baby. But what do you do in the meantime for the preparation, right? And I know a lot of the subconsciouses are asking people to slow the F down, please. And if you don't, we will make you sick. We will throw something to be able to really purge, because you're getting so much energy, and you're not only just absorbing lots of energy from other beings, you're pulling in so much energy as well. So there's a lot going on. And if there is a disconnect, if there is there needs to be some purging, my friends, you're going to notice quite swiftly. So I've heard from many people. So sending you all so much love, my profound light workers who are just gifts to humanity. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are just fantastic. So just check in if you are sick. Is this my density that I'm releasing that no longer serves me, or am I just being of service? Because it sounds like some of you guys are really getting slammed, and that's unfortunate but super purposeful at the same time, right? So relax into it, and just definitely drink lots of water. I think I drank over 5 liters of water yesterday, because I feel like there is so much surging energy. I am wanting to just be able to not hold any density in my body as much as I can, and really just release and release and release and release. And what do we know about water and how it's just so high vibrational and will flow through you and take anything that no longer serves you energetically, right? It's amazing. Water is such a powerhouse for us in so many ways. Okay, so this series, of course, I could have had so many more people that I could have done these sessions with, and you know who you are, who I would have easily been able to reach out to. And thank you so much, everyone, for all of your support with all of the sessions I've ever done, because we've all learned something from those sessions, right? Profoundly. I know I have along the way. So the series that I've just done, that I'm going to be sharing with you, I wanted a few things to be really clear to you guys so you understood it. No one listened to the sessions before their own session. No one knew the questions. And when you listen to the sessions, you're like, well, that would have been really obvious. You're going to do a session with Jo. Of course, she's going to be like exploring this with those people. But those people didn't know what I was doing. I said I was on a new series. Something I was really wanting to explore that was new. It is new, right? Content's not new, questions aren't new, but for all they knew, I could have been on some random exploring unicorns in a different universe and going to challenge their subconscious through this, right? So I knew the questions were really significant in the way I asked them, and I have had reflection on getting the subconscious to clarify how they would describe and define these bodies. I know we lazily kind of call them carbon suits and carbon-based bodies, and these are our physical bodies that were in here on the 3rd dimension, right? We know that these are our physical 3D bodies. Now, do we shift exactly with these 3D bodies? There's a really big question. And when I said, do we take our crystalline bodies, our carbon-based bodies with us, you will hear the range of answers and how they explain it. And so some of us say, we're just, these physical bodies are just dreams. Like they're not really physical. Our souls are just having this dream of a physical lifetime, but we're not truly physical. So we're in this realm of a dream, and this is a really fascinating thing to explore, which I haven't fully unpacked in this session, nor is that series about this. But this series is going to be released, and all of the sessions will be released at the same time. And so whatever one you choose to listen to first will be the most appropriate for you, to be able to explore them, to hear the different subconsciouses speaking from their perspective of what's happening. And it was fascinating actually, because one of the subconsciouses said, well, how if you can see an M, someone sees a W, and someone sees an E, and and someone from an obscure perspective may sort of think it's a Z or something, right? Like, someone with complete terrible vision is going to think it's something else. Someone could see it and go, oh, that's the symbol of McDonald's, or something, right? We've all got our own interpretations of what we can see in front of us, what we think we're sensing in front of us. And so this is why I felt that for those people who need to hear summarized questions and summarized sessions to be able to hear the differences of the subconsciouses, this would be profound. Not one of my clients who did those sessions with me came out of it and was like, oh yeah, that was, I already knew that. That was so profound for each individual client, because remember, while it's the same words that you're sort of hearing all throughout, the feelings, I was quite impacted with my session. It's, you'll know the day that I was very overwhelmed with the density of this planet. It was very, very, it was great because I got to go into that density, do a bit of inner work and, come out jazz hands in and more empowered for it. So, I'm very grateful for my experience, but the words that are said is a tiny fraction of how we experience these sessions. And if you've had these sessions, you know what I'm talking about. So profound. The senses, the richness of it, the language as such, a rudimentary tool to be able to express the intensity of the feelings and all the other senses you get from these sessions. So, definitely when you have your sessions, you will absolutely understand what I'm referencing to, because the words are just so, they lack luster from the experience. And so the subconscious is trying to translate this through our limited vocabulary, our limited range of scope of translating this awesomeness, that's the new earth, this awesomeness, that's the fifth dimensional energy, to be able to sort of go, yeah, it's kind of special. It's really hard, really, really, really hard. If you could explain and talk in details about the biggest moment you've had in this lifetime, which gave you the biggest joy. Yeah, you can talk, it's joyful, it's fantastic, blah, 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 blah. But they don't come from emotions. So they don't share, they don't think to be able to express their information through the range of emotions. They're trying to describe what it is. And so when you hear these sessions as a practitioner, and when you hear these sessions, when you really explore and expand upon the actual words that they're saying, you will notice the consistencies of information, even though it is described differently. And this is fantastic. I feel like this is such a beautiful series, a really profound series. And so, I just did this sort of over the last sort of few days, and they weren't, those vehicles weren't prepared for those questions at all, and it was profound, and everyone came away with it quite mind-blowing, because they had not experienced those questions before. Those questions are really rich in content, and I'm so excited for you guys to listen to it. But I just wanted to make it very clear they were not aware of those questions. And, if I called them all up now and asked them the same questions, like, oh, what do you think? With your conscious mind, what do you think? And they were, about one question, they would, I love them all, but there's no way they would be as articulate in their direction and information as much as they were in those sessions, right? They all know it was not their conscious minds, it was their higher selves. I know that the higher selves are a more advanced being than the subconscious, and it was all their subconsciouses. So it was definitely not their conscious minds. And as they're all trying to process the information themselves from the experiences themselves, it's just beautiful. It's just such a beautiful experience to have with them. But I can guarantee you they are all sort of processing the experience of what they had in the sessions, as always. No time do you have a session and it's just lackluster. Oh, well, the information was average. No. This, every time you have a session, the subconscious will always add upon it, because you're growing and expanding, and you're able to get much more perspectives and clarity and understanding of the details of everything that needs to come. And so it was, very interesting to hear about the new earth from their perspective, the old earth from their perspective, the lessons that people wanted to have on the old earth, and what the contract for Gaia was and is, and understanding more about our bodies. But we know that, we could basically, really basic, it's not the same at all, really. But, the caterpillar evolving into a butterfly, it's different, very, very different. But, you don't see the caterpillar kicking and screaming and not wanting to evolve, even though it probably doesn't comprehend the amazing new things that it can do while it's a butterfly. The caterpillar is distinctively going ahead, living its best caterpillar life, and it just knows intuitively something new, something bigger, something lighter, something more of wonderment, completely different world, right? From being a caterpillar on the ground to then being a butterfly, and having that freedom and flexibility to fly. Quite extraordinary, isn't it? And while many of you are wanting to be able to fly on the new earth energetically, everything is possible. But it's not an instant skill set that you just suddenly get given. Again, it is about you exploring the energy and learning what to do with it and how to work with it and how to be it. It is so beautiful. It's beyond. So this is a series that I have done to be able to inspire you and encourage you all to remember why we should be more excited than impatient. But then I know we're going to get impatient still when we listen to it and think, yeah, that's fantastic. Let's get this party started. And I know that many people are like, oh, that's an awful thing to say. Get this party started. What she's asking for is to have destruction of this planet and natural disasters. Well, yesterday, I actually, I experienced a biggish earthquake here in New Zealand, and we know we've got many active volcanoes here in New Zealand. I am very aware of what the events that need to occur all around the world are. We can't stop this. We can only have balance. And those people who say that they're spiritual and yet still grieve, I understand grief is a choice, and I understand we miss our families and our friends so much when they shift to a different dimension. But we can't hold ourselves down with the regret of missing them and having these beautiful memories, blah, blah. We're supposed to keep continuing on with our current lives, focusing on our current lives. I haven't heard, that we talk to many dead people, many conscious minds, regardless of where they are. And I've been doing this for many years, and I've never heard them say, I really wished all the people that were living could totally distract themselves from their own life purpose and mission and just think about me. They want you to remember that they haven't gone anywhere. They're still watching you. They're still trying to support you, and they're still trying to encourage you to move forward, empower yourself, and be of service. And also respect and celebrate each day we're here. It's a gift. And we have to really put things into a real true perspective of what our daily lives are, how we can be of service daily, and what we're supposed to be doing with it. There's so much to be said, my friends. So yes, with spiritual maturity, we really become so much more in that true joy. And, I can understand many people are impatient. I understand that. And sometimes it feels like the shift is so soon. And then sometimes it feels like it's really far away. And I can feel when we're getting closer and closer and closer to potential experiences that are bigger to help awaken humanity, then it feels like because of certain people's choices, then there's that missed opportunity, and then it feels like it just spans out. And that's when I can feel the subconscious is so, not frustrated, because that would be my word, but it's more like we thought we were so close that time, because they're getting everything ready. It's a lot for them when they are helping us shift. And, there's so much. And they've been on this constant, it's coming too, because they have to support us and all this sort of stuff when these big events happened. We think we're busy. We think we've got lots of things going on for us. And when you ask the subconscious, what have you been doing today in your sense of time? They say, lots and lots. They are so freaking busy. Because remember, it's not just you they're looking after. It's all of your parallel lives and potentially a whole bunch of others that you aren't aware of. Plus, potentially, they're looking after plants and trees and animals and oceans and a whole lot of other things that we've never considered, plus grid lines, plus, they've got their own probably, I want to say they've probably got their own family dynamics that they're dealing with. They sort of don't, but they do, because they know that a lot of collectives are having to still try and work together. They have, it feels like, a lifetime of meetings with each other's collectives to be able to work together to see how can they really get humanity awoken. What's the most appropriate, knowing how humanity can trip into fear and be distracted and all this sort of stuff, right? We are all here to have our life contracts and our experiences fulfilled, and more so for those people who are having last lifetimes, who have wanted to master and empower fully themselves into the 3D, whatever that looks like for them. So, this is such a big deal, such a big event, and it's so important what everyone is doing with their time right now and how they're processing and what they're doing with their energy. So important. And so being honest with ourselves and in tune with ourselves to feel what we're feeling is really important, because if we don't recognize our emotions, and I understand this, when we're really upset and we're crying and we're talking to other people about us being upset, for example, this happened to me years ago, right? So I was crying, I was really upset, and I was asked, how are you feeling right now? And, I was full of snot bubbles. I was, blowing my nose. I was looking like a hot mess, eyes leaking everywhere. And had been talking, and I just thought, that's such a redundant question. Obviously, I'm sad because, all of this going on. And the person said to me, that's really interesting that you feel sad, sorry to hear that kind of thing, but were you aware that when you were projecting yourself being what you feel is sad, it actually comes across as very angry? And I just thought, oh, gosh, really? Like how? No, like my angry is like rage. It's, like it's extreme. Like it's back then it was, very, shouting and a whole lot of that sort of, really expressive, beyond expressive, very, very angry. And so I did not realize that when I was in my sadness and trying to share and be vulnerable and express my sadness, that actually everyone around me was seeing that and interpreting it as angry. And it was like a mind-blowing experience for me, because I was like, no, this is my sad face. And I mean, this would have been at least 10 years ago. And I just was so surprised, because no one had ever sort of said to me when I was in my moment, hey, what are you feeling right now? Because I was like, it's obvious, you know, but it's not obvious to other people what we're feeling. And so this just reminds me of our prickly cactuses, right, my friends? I know it's a terrible label. Labels are bad, you know, but I'm not going to call them narcissists, because, you know, that's got another loaded judgmental thing going on. And when we remember that our cactuses, when you cut them open, because it sounds brutal, doesn't it, now that I'm thinking about it? So when we do an X-ray, you know, when we use our vision, when we sense into the cactus, we don't have to cut open them. We just know that they are super soft and squishy inside, right? That they're well, I'm assuming it's like jelly. It's like an aloe vera gel, right? Super just gooey. And you know, wanting to heal, I think, you know, lots of cactuses potentially. The cactus that I'm thinking of is quite a healing property, and it holds lots of water, and, you know, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so when we're looking at the behaviors of some of those cactuses, well, we're thinking, oh yeah, there's that cactus again pricking everyone. Would we be bold enough to ask them how they're feeling? Because we know that they're like a ticking time bomb potentially. So when we ask them with love and concern, like, how are you feeling about this? You know, their answer may be completely surprising, because I think a lot of people who were hearing me say, well, I'm feeling very sad, and when they were like, you've got angry going on, I was so shocked, because it just was not what I was registering. I'm probably sure I was very angry because I was very sad about a whole lot of stuff. And so when I was expressing it, obviously for everyone else, it was very angry. And so, you know, we can be quite oblivious to how we are representing ourselves and how we are sharing our emotions and experiences to certain things that are going on in our lives. And I think this is why it's so much more helpful to be able to understand things from the metaphysical perspective of everything is a lesson to teach us how to empower ourselves. And sometimes we've got to be brutally honest with our behaviors, our demeanors, and, you know, and really care about other people instead of having assumptions. Oh, they're angry. Ask them how they are. So many times we get confused because we have assumptions that what they're saying to us is something else, right? We always take things so personally, right? However people are reacting out there, we take it all as a personal reflection and a personal attack or directed at us. Right? Totally directed at us. I know people have messaged me like, oh, I know you're talking about me today in that session. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, like, how would I know that? What are you doing? Like, tell me more about that. Because people are getting triggered because they think I'm talking about them when I'm not. You know, like there are so many people that are in my life, and I just, and often I'm trying to share my own personal experiences with you to be able to hear, you know, for me to own my own shit, my own journey, and to be able to, you know, share with you what I've discovered about people and myself. So, you know, there is certainly no judgment here, truly. It is all observations. But if you haven't done enough of your own inner work and you feel vulnerable and you haven't empowered yourselves truly with love, to be able to respect others and to respect yourself, yeah, you're going to be triggered to bejesus and back, you know, wherever that is. So anyway, I really hope that these sessions inspire you to have your own sessions to ask the same questions, because those senses are profound, my friends. Not so much, I mean, yes, it is profound, the old earth experience, because when I separated, when I could feel Gaia on the new earth, And then I came back to compare what Earth felt like after this. I consciously did that. Even though I'd written the questions, I had completely, when you're under, you're not thinking as yourself. Not at all, not at all. The subconscious is thinking for the subconscious is thinking for the session and is hearing the questions from the practitioner, and then it is responding back. This conscious mind is not playing part of it. And unfortunately, my body was reacting, my emotions, I should say, were reacting to the senses quite heavily. And I thought I was screaming hysterically at one point, and I think I was crying hysterically at another point in that session. And when I listened back, it was just nothing. There is no reference to how intensely different my feelings were to what you could hear with the words. So yes, when I got to experience the old Earth without Gaia's soul, because Gaia's soul I could feel beautifully on the new Earth, and when I felt back into just the planet's energy, it was quite the stark experience, quite haunting, but purposeful, so I could go into the density, do my own inner work, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I hope that this series gives you so much joy and clarification and information. And I know that you've all been gagging for lots of new content, and I have given you some of it, but it was really time for you to go back with your new advanced ears and listen to the older sessions, be so motivated to hear new content that you'd actually go and have your own sessions yourself and keep updating yourself with the new information that you're ready to hear now from your subconscious, who is wanting you to expand, to be able to really get rid of all of the, to overcome all of the stuff that is still sort of that inner work that still needs to be completed before you could get the next information. And so I really, I'm really proud of everyone that could help me with that session, those series. Thank you so much. And I'm really proud of the information in there. I think the subconsciouses are incredibly so kind and so loving and so helpful that I really know that this is a really special series, and it's gonna awaken a lot of people, because so many people have this assumption that they already know what fifth dimension is. They're already saying they're on the fifth dimension, living the fifth dimension, and they're on the new Earth. And so sharing so many sessions and kind of like I'm not going to say a scientific method, but a blind sessions where none of the clients knew the questions apart from me. And I was so out of that session, I couldn't consciously remember anything at all. It was, it is what it is. So the sessions are incredible. I can't wait for you to all listen to them and process this and work through this. It is important times. It is absolutely important times. So anyway, I'm so excited. And I'm just, I can just feel so much is coming. And I know we always feel like it's never going to come, right? And it absolutely is, and has been. And we just don't see the significances of these sort of smaller things that we're like, oh, well, volcanoes always happen. Oh, well, earthquakes always happen. Oh, well, blah, 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 right? We're not seeing all of the things that are going on, for various reasons. We don't get to hear about other countries truly and what they're going through and what movements they're all awakening to. And we do hear in sessions more and more people are wakening up. It is true. They are evolving, they are expanding, they are releasing the density that no longer serves them. And so it's very exciting times. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to this. And, for everyone listening to those sessions, I thought of you, and I really, really, really wanted this to help you, whatever you're sticking with or confused with or not understanding. I know that this is all kind of spout out in the sessions, and I'm just so happy to be able to provide this for you. Love you guys. Drink lots of water. Be kind to each other.